Welcome to the American Studies World War II project. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make the reflection screen. The reflection screen has the most elements on it. It has a title. It has the instructions for people to enter their name. It's got a text box to actually enter the name. It's got the text for your question number 1. It's got the input box for question number 1. It's got the text for question number 2. It's got a drop down for question number 2. And finally, it has a submit button. When you're done with the reflection screen, it should look something like this. And so we're going to go ahead and begin programming those pieces. So if you go into your project, again, I'm not sure if you've already created a screen. If you've already created a screen, you've got code already as well as other screens. I'm going to go ahead and go into design mode where I can see this drop down. And I can select new screen. Okay, as you've learned throughout this whole project, screen IDs and element IDs are the most important, so I'm going to call this reflection screen. Refresh yourself on camel case, where the first letter of the first word is lowercase and the first letter of the second word and other subsequent words are capitalized, and all the words are smashed together, no spaces in between. Go ahead and select a background color. I'll go ahead and pick a background color. And now it's time to start adding my design elements. I'm going to have my first thing where the reflection title is just with a label. I'm going to change this label to reflection title. Remember, every element is going to have the screen name first and then a description of it. And I'm just going to change this to reflection. Hopefully you've done the other tutorial videos where you can change the font size and you're familiar with changing the text color and the background color. Hopefully you've also seen how to change the alignment if you'd like. But right now I'm going to leave this. If you haven't seen that, I would ask you to look at some of the other tutorial videos. The first thing that I want to add the second thing I want to add after the reflection title is the name instructions, again dragging over another label. And I want to say something like, please enter your name. This is going to say reflection name instructions. And please enter your name. I'm not going to make any changes to the text size or color or anything like that. That's up to you to decide to do. I'm going to drag over a text input element. And here, this is going to say reflection name input. And a placeholder is what appears in the box itself. Right now there's no placeholder, but I'm going to say enter name here. And that disappears when a user actually starts entering the name in. After that, I want to now add my first question. So I'll put in my next label element. This will be reflection Q1 text. And let's see what I put here. What stuck out to you from the info you saw? Before you decide on a question, I would suggest that you check in with Mr. Wellen as far as your 2 questions and make sure that they're appropriate and not just appropriate, but also a good, solid reflection question. We're going to be talking more about those in class as well. But for the time being, I'll go ahead and put mine similar. Okay, in this one in particular, I'm going to resize it just a little bit. And then I'm going to add in my text input again, my other element. I might make this a little bit larger so that people can see that they can add in an element here. I'll change that ID to reflection Q1 answer. Enter answer. Enter response here. Okay, and now I'm going to put in my second question. reflection Q2 text, and I will have my second one, what word. And again, as I mentioned already, check with Mr. Wellen as far as your reflection questions. This time for my response, it's going to be a drop down, and I'm going to change the ID to reflection Q2 drop down. And now I can put in my options in my drop down here where it says options. The first thing that I want to write is select word here. And then afterwards, on each line, I'll put in my different words. You can, as you can with other elements, change the background color in the text element of your drop-down box. And last but not least, we need to have a submit button. I'll make this a little bit bigger, and the ID for this is reflection submit button. And I'll click submit here. Okay. At this point, the design is done for the reflection screen. I'm going to click make default so that I can test it right now, so that when I click run, it actually shows up here. Right now, you've got the ability to type in things and even select a word, but when you click submit, nothing happens. You don't have any code behind under the hood of any of these elements. So let's go ahead and start to add in some code. What you're going to want to do as far as the code is concerned is, let's go back into clicking on the submit button. And now we'll add our code here. So make sure that you're on reflection submit button. You've selected this as your element. And let's go to events. And we want a click event. When this button is clicked, we want some code to happen. So we're going to insert and show code. We'll find out where it is. And now what you're going to do is first, unlike the other screens, you're going to drag over from the data drawer something called create record. You want to make a table, and this table is going to store all that data. So we can leave the console.log, and we're going to create a record, or create a table, and we're going to call that table reflection responses. Okay, and now right here, this place where it says name, that's the column name for each of the columns that you want. So if you look on my data, I want name, I want response, and I want word. So I'm going to add those things in. Obviously, name is fine, but I want to get the name from here. I want to get it from this text box. So what I can do over here is actually go back to UI controls, and I want to get text, and I'm going to drag this right where it says Alice. And I want to get it from the name reflection name input. That's what I called it. Now you can see why it's so important to have your element's name correctly. Okay. At this point, what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to click into show text mode, because we're going to copy this and we're going to add in our second and third columns. So let's go ahead and click show text. And notice what I copy. I'm going to copy everything within these brackets. So I copy that, and after this second parentheses, I put a comma, and then I'm going to paste. Okay, and now my second column title is response. And then I'm going to do it one more time. My third one is going to be word. So those are the three things. Now I'm going to leave this the same because I'm going to go back into show blocks. Okay, so right now I can see reflection name input, but again, we want to get the text from the right place. What is this one called? This one was reflection Q1 answer. So I want to get the text from there. And then I'm going to go to this one right here, and I'm going to go to reflection Q2 dropdown. So now I should be getting the text from those specific places. Okay. After I have that done, after I have that code done, I'm going to just do one set screen, and I want to set screen into my thank you screen. And so I'll put thank you. Okay. Right now you're done with the code. Now it's time to test to make sure that it works. So let's go ahead and click run, and let's try something here. Let's enter in our name, let's put in our response, and let's select a word, and let's click submit. Obviously, you don't have a thank you screen, so that's why this warning all of a sudden came up, but now you do have data. So if you click on the data tab, all of a sudden you've got this new reflection responses table, and if you click on that, you'll notice that this has come up. If that comes up, your reflection screen is working. You are now populating, or you're now retrieving and storing data. Great job. If you have any questions, let me know.